Namaste everyone, welcome to your practice. This is Stephen from YogaWorks, and this session here will do a 1 hour all-around flow around the theme of movement and stillness. Now in the beginning you might actually wonder, aren't these two opposites when you're moving or versus when you're still? But actually they can both be done at the same time. And movement could also be seen as action, and in yoga an action is not just a physical movement that we do with our bodies, but also a mental movement of thoughts, even of emotions that pass through us. And stillness, the opposite of stillness, is not movement. It's actually being frantic and anxious as a quality. So it's more of a quality of being. We can bring the stillness of quality to all our actions or movements, whether it be a movement of thought or emotion or a physical movement. So that's actually what we'll practice today, the incredible combination of these two elements in our yoga flow. You could actually argue as well that we need a little bit more of those two elements in our daily lives, because we don't move nearly as much as our body is designed for. We tend to sit a lot. We use cars to take us to other places. We use elevators and escalators, and actually our body is designed to move the whole day, every day for our whole lifetime. And the stillness is also a bit missing, because as soon as we have a little moment in between, then there comes the phone, the social media, the emails on the computer. We even take our phone to the toilet, if you think about it. So the stillness is missing, the movement is also missing, and in this practice we'll bring the two back and find a nice little balance in our bodies and minds. So we're going to start in downward facing dog. So just come right into it and take a moment to just look at the hands, place them firmly on the mat, spread your fingers a little bit wide. I like to have the peace sign facing more or less forward to the front. You can also turn the index finger or middle finger forward. There's a lot of different options here. And then the feet, place them hip width apart and start to push the mat away with your hands. You draw more and more weight into the legs. Lengthen the arms, lengthen the spine. And if you find it's hard to do this with the legs straight, then just bend the knees a little bit and prioritize the length in the upper body first, especially the spine. And if you can do that with straight legs, then you're welcome to. But if you straighten the legs and your back needs to round, then rather keep the knees a little bit bent and the spine long. So we've got 4 points of contact here with the mat. We've got our 2 hands and 2 feet. Can you try to evenly distribute your weight between these 4 points? And once you've done all the adjustments that you needed to, maybe you've moved around a lot, maybe you've pedaled out the legs, maybe you've adjusted this and that, then just drop into a still pose. Just holding this right here. It's not going to be perfect, there's still going to be things that you wish you had changed, but don't do it for a moment, just rest here. It's an intense pose. You might have just woken up or just come from a busy day of work, and suddenly you find yourself in this quite demanding yoga pose. So your mind is definitely going to come up with all kinds of opinions, let's call it. And can you allow these opinions to just come and go? You don't need to get involved. Can you even steady your gaze? So just look at a point, maybe between the legs, between the knees, so between the feet, and rest your eyes on that point. Really still and really calm. And it's a long hold, but we're nearly towards the end. Let's do another 20 seconds or so. Can you just feel the weight in the hands, the weight in the feet, your strong center, and your calm presence as you find stillness in the pose. Good. Lower the knees, open the knees a little bit wider, have the big toes touching behind you, and then just come into child's pose. Rest the forehead. If it's hard to rest the forehead, you can always raise the floor by stacking your fists on top of each other, maybe one, maybe none. But let it be a restful, introspective pose. So we start off strong, but now we drop into child's pose. You'll find some poses it's really hard to be still and to have that calm presence, and other ones it's a bit easier. And sometimes in a physically demanding pose, your mind might be a bit more focused, actually. And in a resting pose like this one, your mind might suddenly start to drift off into what you want to do next, or something that happened in the past. So just notice this and see if you can let all these thoughts come and go without being attached to any of them, without going with the story. And then make this a little bit more active by reaching your hands forward. So the same hands as we had in downward dog. We'll just move through a little flow. So keep the back around as you start to round forward until your shoulders come over the wrists. And then arch your back. Lead with the tailbone and press back to child's pose. Let's do this a few times. Inhale to round, find a nice little spinal roll. And then exhale to arch your back to go all the way back to the heels. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round. A few more times, nice and easy. Such a simple movement that you don't need to think about this. Everyone can do this. It is accessible and soothing. So your mind's got the opportunity to drop into stillness. You don't need to think about what is next, or you're not very good at this, or whatever your mind likes to come up with. Nice and simple. Let's do two more. Round your back to come forward. Arch your back to go back. One more. Find a still presence underneath it all. Nice. Next time you can continue with this if that feels good. But I'm going to add a few things just to get a bit more arm strength and a little back bend in. So round your back. And if you want, lean a little bit more forward and do a tiny push-up. Just bend the elbows a little bit and straighten back up and then arch to go back to child's pose. Round your spine to come forward. Keep the belly lifted, maybe a little push-up, and arch to go back. Rounding forward, strong belly as you bend the elbows and straighten them, arch to go back. Two more like this. You can stay with the previous variation, just link your breath to these movements. And find a calm space, mainly mental space, to move in. Our mind is probably the most unruly part that we are tuning into now. And then hold that for a moment in child's pose. We'll add one more element. You can repeat version 1, just rounding, arching to go back. You can repeat number 2, little push-up, or number 3, I'll show you now. We'll go all the way down and add a cobra pose. So round your back. Bend your elbows, this time all the way down. Inhale, little cobra, chest forward. And exhale, arch your back to go back. That's a little flow. Round forward. Through the push-up all the way down. Shoulders back, cobra. And arch to go back. Now find stillness, you know the movements, you don't need to think about it. Like a moving meditation. See it as medicine for your body and for your mind at the same time. And let's do one more. Rounding forward, slowly lower down, roll the shoulders back, cobra,
Arch to go back. Child's pose. Rest for a couple of breaths. Body is still. Mind suddenly gets really active. This is often my experience. In a resting pose, you suddenly start to think, what am I going to have for lunch or dinner? Or I forgot to answer that email or message. Stay in the presence behind all these thoughts on the surface. This is our practice today. And then push back to downward facing dog. We're not going to hold it for 2 minutes this time, so don't worry. And then just tiptoe forward to the front of the mat. Take a moment to hang down. It's a good idea to bend your knees, especially in the beginning of the class. You can hold your elbows, just hang down. Or if you want to get a little bit of shoulder, chest work, you can clasp hands behind your lower back and let them lift a little bit away from you towards the ceiling. A moment here, do not focus on the stretch, but focus on that still space deep inside, which is observing all of these movements, these thoughts, these emotions that come and go. And then release your hands, bend your knees a little bit more, and let's do slow spinal roll, really slow, to the top. So you're rounding your lower back, and then you feel your mid back, and then you feel the upper back, and finally the shoulders and the head come up. Roll your shoulders a couple of times, and come to mountain pose, hands in front of the chest, Anjali Mudra. Close your eyes for a moment, stand in a strong and still pose. Try to keep that stillness even as we're going to start moving just now. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, go all the way down, soften your knees. Inhale, halfway lift. Lift high enough so your shoulders are about hip height. Exhale, bend the knees again and fold. Inhale, let's go all the way up. Reach the hands to the ceiling. And exhale, hands back to heart center. Inhale, continue, let your breath lead the way. Exhale, all the way down, a wide circle with the arms. Inhale, the chest lengthens forward. Exhale, again, forward fold. Inhale, like a moving meditation. Exhale, hands to heart. One more like this. Inhale, stretch the arms up. Exhale, can you find the stillness in the movement? Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to rise, press your feet. Exhale, hands to heart. Close your eyes for a moment, take a few breaths. So no stillness would mean your mind is all over the place. It's evaluating what you're doing. It's comparing your yoga pose to that of somebody else. That is absence of stillness. Stillness is just quiet presence in the background, doing whatever is necessary in the best way that you can today for your body as you are. Inhale, here we go. Exhale. Inhale, chest goes forward, long spine. Exhale, hands down, the right foot back. Lower the right knee. Inhale, lift the arms, low lunge. Exhale to downward dog, just to down dog. Inhale, shift forward to plank. You can do that spinal roll again that we did in child's pose, if you like. And then if you like, lower the knees and do that same little push-up all the way down. Inhale to cobra pose, broaden the chest. Elbows close. Exhale to downward facing dog. Inhale in down dog. Exhale, step the right foot forward, the left knee down. Inhale, rise to low lunge. Exhale, hands down, step forward, fold at the top of the mat. Inhale, take it all the way up. And exhale back to your center, back to the heart. Continuing, inhale, find a nice rhythm, a nice flow. Exhale, forward fold. No need to think. Inhale, flat back, just stay with this. Exhale, hands down, the left foot back. Land the knees softly. And let the arms rise. Inhale, low lunge. Lower the hands, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, shift forward to plank, maybe spinal roll. You can lower the knees, strong belly as you lower down to your belly. Cobra pose, broaden the chest, shoulders back. Exhale to down dog. Take a breath. Inhale. Exhale, the left foot forward, right knee down. Inhale, the breath leads the way. The arms are just following. Exhale, step forward, land softly, and Uttanasana. Inhale, rise, go all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. Continuing one more round, inhale. Exhale, arms wide, bend your knees a little bit. Inhale, chest forward, halfway lift. Exhale, the right foot back. This time you can keep the right knee lifted. Inhale, arms up. You can also place it down, so either high lunge or a low lunge. Lower the hands. Down dog. Inhale, roll forward into a plank. You can still lower the knees or keep the knees lifted, chaturanga. To all the way down. Turn your head to the right. Reach your left hand back next to your left hip. Place the right hand under the left cheek. Ooh, this is nice. But that's not the whole pose. We're going to be doing a little bit of back bend lifts. Nothing too intense though. Keep your right hand glued to the left cheek and lift it up. Lower down. That's one, let's do two more. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Now start to add the left leg and the right arm. Lift and lower. Don't need to go higher. Inhale, lift and lower. One more. Lift and lower. Up into plank. Back to downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg up and back. Exhale, step the right foot forward and lift your arms. Inhale, high lunge. Exhale, the hands down, step forward to fold. Inhale all the way up. The stillness gets a little bit harder as the poses get more intense. Exhale, hands to heart. Just notice that. Inhale, take it all the way up. Exhale, let all of that go. Relax your belly. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, the left foot back this time. Keep your knee lifted if that is available. And lift your arms. High lunge. Lower the hands. Downward facing dog. Shift forward into plank. Either with knees or without knees. There's no superior one or an inferior one. It's only up to you. And then lean forward, lean forward, lean forward. Now bend your elbows. Slowly go down. Don't rush. All the way down. Look to the left. Right hand next to right hip. Left hand under right cheek. Here we go. 3 lifts, just the upper body. Inhale. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift up, feel the strength in the back. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. That's three. We'll do three more with the right leg and the left arm. Inhale. Exhale. Two more, lift. Not too high, not too low. Lower down. One more, lift. And lower. Hands push up into plank, downward facing dog. Inhale, let the left leg rise. Exhale, step it forward and lift up into high lunge. Lower the hands, step forward, forward fold Uttanasana. Inhale, let's go all the way up, reach to the fingers. Exhale, hands to heart center. Take a breath. Three more half sun salutations just to feel the flow of the breath, the internal rhythm, and to get into that meditative space where we don't need to think about what's coming next. Inhale, rise, get taller. Exhale, fold in half, belly to thighs. Inhale, flat back. Enjoy these simple, predictive movements. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up. We learn a lot through these repetitions. Exhale, hands to heart. You can keep refining them. Inhale as you go. Exhale, soften the knees and fold. Inhale, flat back, lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold down again. Inhale, take it all in as you lift. Exhale, hands to heart. Let's do one more, nice and slow. Inhale, you can even close your eyes just to feel more. Exhale, all the way down. Try to feel this from the inside out. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise, press your feet down. Exhale, hands to heart. Moving on, inhale. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, the chest goes forward. Exhale, just step to down dog. Can take a moment, we've been here before. You know this pose, the shape is familiar to your body. Or if you're new to this, it will become familiar as you keep showing up for your practice. And then step your right foot forward. Turn the left heel down. I quite like the heels to be in the same line here, but you can play around with that for yourself and see what feels good. Then lift the upper body. And then bend the front knee a good amount and stretch your arms away from each other. Nice. And then lift your arms. And then hold onto an imaginary bar above you. And then slowly on the exhale, pull your elbows down next to the shoulders. Feel the strength in your upper back. So we're just adding some shoulder work to our warrior two. Lift the arms. Grab the imaginary bar. And then pull down. Feel the strength underneath your armpits. Again, lift up. Pull down, broaden your upper back as you do this. Two more. Lift. And lower. Super strong upper back. One more. Lift. And pull down. Then bring the right elbow underneath the left elbow for eagle arms. I'm facing away from you, but you'll see it better on the second side. So right elbow on the left, lift the elbows a little bit, press your forearms away from you. After our movement, physical movement, we drop into stillness. Just hold the pose with focus, with skill. with determination. Nice. Release the hands. You can just step back to down dog, or you can keep moving with a slow, mindful vinyasa in between. You can choose how you lower down through chaturanga. You can use your knees. You can also choose your back bend. Step the left foot in between the hands, right heel down, set up for warrior 2 on the second side. Once you're happy with the feet, stretch the arms. And then get your mind centered. No need to start thinking too much about how terrible you are, how tight your hips are, how amazing other people do this pose. This would be the opposite of our stillness again that we are cultivating. In fact, you don't need to cultivate a lot. It's more when you drop all the other stuff, this is what remains. So it's more of a letting go rather than pushing for stillness. That wouldn't work. Lift your arms, grab the bar, pull down, and feel the strength in your back. Nice, keep the legs steady. Reach up and pull your elbows to about shoulder height. Again, lift up and a strong pull down. Again, lift. You should feel this under the armpits and then pull down, feel the lats. Let's do one more. Lift. And imagine you're pulling yourself up towards an imaginary bar above you. Nice. And left elbow under right. Come into your eagle arms. Elbows a little bit lifted. Forearms a little bit away from you. And hold. Drop into stillness. Can you make the eyes still resting on the forearms? Can the only movement be your breath? Release, hands down, you know the options, down dog. Child's pose is always available, or if you want to keep moving, then there is the vinyasa of your choice. Try not to do the same thing every vinyasa. Try to change it up. There's Sphinx pose, there's locust, there's cobra, there's upward facing dog. Just notice if you're getting stuck in a little pattern. And then step your right foot forward. Nice. Wiggle the right foot a bit to the right and keep the left hand inside your right foot. And then lift the arm into easy twisting lunge. Stretch up with the right fingers. And even rotate your upper back into a little bit. If you've got more space behind you, then you can move into that. And then now we'll start to round the back and thread the right arm past the left wrist. Wherever it goes, it's okay. And just rest here for a moment. And now we'll add the movements with the breath. Inhale up. Rotate your upper back. Exhale down. Rotate the right arm under the left. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more. Inhale. Lean back. Exhale, thread under, round your back. Soften the head. 1 more. Inhale. Exhale. This time, bring both hands inside the right foot. Maybe lower the left elbow down. And maybe, even more, maybe lower the right elbow down. If you've got a block, you can always put the elbows on the block. But the hands is of the same quality, actually. The pose is not about the hands or the elbows. It's about the hip flexion and external rotation here in that right hip. So just so we're focusing on the right thing. And even more beyond all this physical movement, There's the stillness that hopefully you can find a little bit of in some of these poses, ideally in all of the poses a little bit. Good. Down dog, child's pose, slow vinyasa. It's up to you. Want to do locust pose. Back to down dog. Take your time. Good. Step left foot forward where your left hand was in down dog. Right hand stays inside the left foot. And then lift the left arm. And if there's space, lean a little bit back. And then on the exhale, thread your left arm under the right and soften down a little bit while you rotate towards the right. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Feel the rotation in the upper spine. Exhale, soften down. Inhale up. Exhale, rotate. Last one. Inhale. Exhale. Nice. We'll stay in here a little bit longer. Both hands inside left foot. Option right elbow down. Option left elbow down. May not happen today or ever. It's a detail. And then I forgot to mention there's also an option, the back knee down, in case this is getting a little bit much for the legs. And try not to round and duck your head down, but just keep a little bit of length in the spine. So really getting to that left hip. Drop into this pose for a little moment. Some poses are really challenging, some you might find a bit more accessible for your body. There's something to practice for everyone. And then release. Down dog, vinyasa, child's pose. I'm going to go downward facing dog. Nice. Step your right foot inside the right hand. Turn the left heel down, but keep a bit of space in between the feet so they're not behind each other. Warrior 1, Virabhadrasana. Number 1, lift the arms, chest faces forward. Nice. Inhale here. Exhale, hands come down. Pull your right hip back and straighten the right leg a little bit. It may not straighten all the way, don't worry about it. And then rebend, lift the arms, warrior 1. Exhale, hands down, forward fold, pyramid pose, rebend, inhale, warrior 1. Exhale, this one is called Parshvottanasana. Rebend, inhale, warrior 1. And then this time, before we go down, straighten the front leg, reach your hands behind you and make fists, and then just connect the fists against each other behind your back. If you are able to, you can also do reverse namaste with the hands in prayer behind your back. For me, that doesn't always feel so good, so I'm going to do the knuckle option, and then lengthen the chest forward, 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 forward. Before the back starts to round, you'll feel with your hands here. Hold it there with a elongated spine. Let the hands be your feedback. And then pull the right hip back. And again, a moment of stillness, of no movement, a chance to drop in a little bit deeper, to experience this pose on a deeper level from the inside out. Release the hands. Step back, do your thing. You can keep moving if you're feeling energetic. Or you can rest if you need a break. Downward facing dog. Left foot inside the left hand. Turn the right heel down and step it out a bit. Warrior one. We're facing forward with the upper body. The hips are not going to face perfectly forward. They're probably going to be at a little bit of an angle, which is perfect. Try not to crank yourself into a position that doesn't feel natural or even possible. Inhale in warrior one. Exhale to hands down, pull the left hip back and straighten that left knee a little bit. It might straighten all the way, it might not. See how it goes. Rebend and lift. Straighten or pull the left hip back rather and fold. Again, inhale. Exhale. Try not to have any opinions about how far you go or how not far you go. Because before we know it, we're thinking, wow, I'm really amazing at this yoga practice, going further than anybody else. Or you might think, I'm terrible at this, I should never come back. And none of those two extremes is really helpful. Now hands behind the back, again with the knuckles or the palms, straighten the front leg. Now you can really face forward and then lengthen the chest forward, more forward, until you feel, oh, the back starts to round, so I should stop just before that and hold. Just marinate in this pose for a little bit, pulling the left hip back, lengthening the chest forward, and you might be way deeper than me, or you might be all the way up, or somewhere in between. It's all good. Just learn right here and find stillness right here. You don't need to have open hamstrings to find stillness. It's not necessary. And then release the hands. Good. Step back. Do your thing, slow vinyasa if you want to keep moving, or take a moment in down dog or child's pose before we meet again. Nice, one more little standing sequence. Step the right foot forward. And then lift up and come with the hands onto the right knee. Nice. And then really slowly we're starting to bend that left knee, the back knee, and just tap it down ever so softly, barely touching, and straighten the back leg again. Try not to move the front hip, lock it in place as best as you can. Bend the left knee. Slightest touch. And straighten the left knee. Let's do two more. Bend. And straighten. Use the whole breath to get there, don't rush. Lower. Tap or hover just above the mat. It's lower than you think. And straighten. Nice. Now move weight onto your right foot. Lean the chest forward. When you feel comfortable, you can lift that left leg behind you. Warrior three, maybe the hands lift a little bit like locust, but balancing on your right leg. And then slowly hinge up. Lift the left knee. Lift the left foot. And then bend the standing knee, you go slow. And land the left ankle on the right knee, so you still haven't used your hands. Or have you? Stay here, or rest your hand on the foot, one on the knee. Actually, what I like to do most here is the left hand down just for balance. And with the right hand, I like to push that left heel in. And all that force has nowhere else to go than into that left hip, into that external rotation of the left hip. a moment here in this standing pigeon pose, wherever you are, whichever version. Drop into stillness. Might be really easy for you. It might be really tough for that left hip. But just drop in. Just a moment in time. Before you know it, we're in Shavasana. Before we know it, you're off to something else. So this is the moment. And then slowly come back up, step that left foot back, and move or don't move. Up to you, but whatever you do, stay fully present with what you're doing right now. There's no autopilot. Exhale and down dog. Left foot forward. Right knee stays up for now. Come up with the left, or both hands on the left knee. And then start to bend the right knee. Go slowly. And just feel where the mat is. Hover just above that. And lift the knee back up. Straighten the leg all the way if you can. Bend. Slowly feeling where the mat is. And re-straighten. 2 more, here we go. Bend. Do not rush. And straighten. 1 more. Use the whole out breath to lower. Use the whole inhale to straighten. Often we rush. There's no way to be still actually in our actions. So often to slow things down is a really great way to improve the stillness of our being. So we're going to warrior 3 and step back a little bit so you can see better. I'm reaching the right leg back. I like to reach the hands back and lift the chest slightly and get a little back bend feeling like locust on your left leg. And then hinge up. Lift the right knee. Externally rotate that right thigh, like this, so lifting the right foot up towards the left. Bend your left knee and place the right ankle on the left knee. There's lots of options here. You can stay here. You can rest the hands. I like to reach down with the right hand and with the left hand push the right heel in. So I've got something of resistance to push back into with that heel. And wherever you are, drop in for another moment or so. And then slowly straighten back up. Step your right foot back. A last vinyasa if you're interested. You can also skip this, of course. And whatever you need to do to improve your stillness, do that. Often I need to move quite a bit before I can experience the ease of sitting still, of calming my mind a little bit. So moving through practice like this really helps me to sit still at the end. Nice. From here you can jump through, walk through, sit down and lie down on your back. Doesn't it feel amazing to lie on your back? This is the best. And it's also a yoga pose. In fact, we'll do it right at the end in Shavasana. But for now, let's do some bridge lifts. Just check where your heels are. You want them quite close, but not all the way close against the hips. And then lift the hips up, push down through the feet. And I like to walk the shoulders a little bit in. So if you move a bit left, the right shoulder can come in. If you move a bit right, the left shoulder can come in. And then this gives you a nice extra lift in the chest. You can also clasp hands together under your lower back. couple of breaths. Again, drop in to this still space, which is always available. Slowly lower down. Rest for a moment. Now, next bridge, just walk your feet together in the middle. So the balls of the feet are just touching. And then lift up with the hips. Again, you can clasp your hands. And lift the right leg high. Straight up to the ceiling if you can. If that knee's still a little bent, it's also not a problem. Now try not to drop the right hip too much. And now bend the right knee, place the right ankle on the left knee. And can you encourage that right knee down without dropping the right hip? Not easy. And then stretch up, one breath. And lower down. Soles of the feet together. Knees wide. Supta Baddha Konasana. Okay, we've got the other leg, so bring the feet together. Balls of the feet touch, and then lift up, maybe hands clasp. And this time lift the left leg straight up. Lift the chest up, lift the left hip up. Bend that left knee and come into that external hip rotation. The left knee, encourage it down, but the left hip, encourage it up. So just see how that works in your body. And then lift the left leg up, one breath. And lower down. Soles of the feet together. Knees wide. And often you find after a bit of a challenging pose like those two last ones, it's really nice to drop into that stillness. It almost comes naturally. So do one more round of bridge. You can repeat the one we did before, or I'll show you one more, is when you walk the heels in closer, you can hold the front of your ankles if that's within your reach with your hands, and then lift up like that. So it's a closed circuit, you could say, which might allow you to pull a little bit more with your arms, and use that to lift the hips and lift the thighs. A nice arch in the whole back, and try to get an even experience throughout the whole body. If that's not possible, then you might have to adjust the pose, release the hands, or just skip it altogether. And then slowly release. Supta Baddha Konasana. Soles of the feet together, knees rest. Nice. From here, straighten the legs out. And then bend your right knee into the chest. Pull it in, squeeze for a moment. And then take your right knee over to the left side. So you can use your left hand to hold the knee down. With the right arm, you can stretch away from the right shoulder and just keep your upper back nice and heavy. Even if that right knee is hovering in the air, that's fine. Doesn't need to touch down. And just feel this lovely side stretch, the twist, maybe a bit of outer hip, or whatever else you notice. And let each pose especially now that we have a bit more time in the pose, that each pose be a gateway to stillness. So the pose is not the destination, it is the beginning. It starts at the pose, we come into it, we explore the shape, we feel the sensations, and then the work starts. And the work is to get the mind involved less and less. Slowly release. Straighten the right leg out. Bend your left knee and bring it into the chest. Just squeeze in for a moment. At the same time, make your right leg quite active, kicking away from you. And then we'll twist. Hold the left knee with your right hand, guide it across your body, and then the left arm can stretch to the left. The neck, I didn't mention on the first side, you can of course look back at that left hand, so to continue the spinal twist with your neck part of the spine. But if it feels better, you could just look up or even to the right. It's up to you. I quite like to keep my head more or less neutral most of the time. And again, the pose is the gateway, the front door through which we enter the building. And then start to explore the building. Increase your awareness of the inner body. Slowly release, come back to center. And then prepare for flower pose. Bring your knees up and then press your hands down just to lift the lower back off the mat. And then it might be nice to just rest your knees towards the forehead. Even if they don't touch, it's okay. You can stay here, or you can try straighten the legs a little bit more if it's available for you. Maybe the toes touch down, in which case you can straighten the legs more. If your toes don't touch down, and rather stay with the knees on the forehead, and then the hands should then support your lower back. If it's uncomfortable, you feel funny sensation in the spine, and the shoulders, the neck, then come out immediately. If your toes touch down, you can straighten the legs, and you can also clasp your hands like we did for bridge pose earlier. And just take a moment to feel the rounding in the spine, the introspective nature of this pose. It's a nice forward bend in a different relation to gravity. And then place the hands down, you can support your lower back. Bend the knees a little bit, and then ever so slowly roll the spine down. Take your time, feel each part of the spine come into contact with the mat. And then just, before we move on, just place the feet wide and let the knees drop in together in the middle. Constructive rest pose, really great to relax tension in the lower back and around the hips and the belly. And then straighten the legs and just lift the hips a little bit so you could slide your hands underneath your buttocks. And then come up onto your elbows. Look towards your feet, activate the feet a little bit. And then lift the chest up as best as you can. Lift, 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 lift. You can stay here. Or if it feels okay for your neck, you can lean the head back and then just slide over your hands just to the head. Crown of the head lightly touches in fish pose, Matsyasana. Really great to take deep breaths into the belly, into the chest. Let's take 3 deeper breaths together. Inhale here. Exhale, sigh the breath out through the mouth. Inhale. Exhale, stick out your tongue and sigh. One more, inhale. Exhale, let go. Slowly lift the head up, look towards your feet. Remove the elbow support and rest down on your back. Prepare for Shavasana. Wiggle around until you get really comfortable. Let the feet flop out to the sides. Let the hands open to the sky. And get your shoulders, spine, hips as relaxed as possible. This is the ultimate dropping into stillness pose. In fact, the translation of Shavasana is corpse pose, where we get used to letting go of the physical body. It dies in a certain way, not physically it dies, but there's no attention or demand on the body anymore. We can let go of it completely. Let the only movements be the breath, flowing in and out in the background. No need to get involved. And then let the mind rest in the body. And take a few deeper breaths. Move your hands, move your feet. Bend your knees and roll over onto your side. And gently come up into sitting. Keep your eyes closed, sit comfortably, rest your hands. And before we move on, just take a moment to experience this effortless connection deep inside you. Before we start our yoga practice, sometimes we feel a bit scattered. Your thoughts are off in one direction. Your body feels a different way. Your emotions are all over the place. And with our yoga practice, we bring everything back onto the same page. And there's only one page, which is right here and right now. And see if you can find that place that is still deep inside you, which is unaffected by things on the surface. Traffic, work stuff,
to-do lists, things that other people say or think. There's a space inside you which is unaffected by all of that, which is the one we are practicing to remain aware of in our yoga practice. So see if you can stay in that space as much as possible as we are going to walk off our mat in a moment. Place your hands together at the heart. Touch your hands to your forehead, to your heart center, and bow yourself on the mat. Thank you so much for practicing. Namaste, everybody. Hope to see you again soon, and take care.